Hello everybody, welcome back to another World of Tanks ANZPL interview. I'm here today with Perth Panthers player Dastardly. How you doing, mate?
Really good, mate. It's always good to jump on and do a couple of interviews with the guys, post-stream or not.
That's it, yeah. No, I do appreciate it. It's always great having a chat to you guys and getting the insights into what's going on with the teams. So, there are only 2 rounds to go, which I can't believe it's happening this quick already. How's the general feeling in the team now? Because you've got a few wins under your belt. The only team to have 3 wins, which is quite amazing to me. But how's the general feeling around the team?
Yeah, well, we are the only team with 3 wins, but we are also the only team with 3, or tied at most losses with 3. So with how close the league is at the moment, it's kind of anyone's best guess as to how it's going to change. Hopefully, we're still confident that we can finish in the top 4, but yeah, I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Like, we'll get onto the ladder a little bit later, but I'd like to go back to one of your games because you played Adelaide Action X last week, and you took the win, which is awesome. But we just want to go through one of the games on Prokhorovka there. So I'm going to switch over to Strat Sketch and have a bit of a look. So one of the things I want to talk about first of all, is you sent a lot of tanks here straight to this train line. Now, it's a pretty common thing from what I'm understanding of the opposition, the attacking team, to send a light tank down here. So was that kind of the play you were looking for, to just try and catch that tank unawares?
Well, with playing that many tanks straight up kind of the 5 line on mid, it's really good playing a ton of tanks up there if they're kind of split playing across multiple parts of the map. So if they had, say, one of their 60 TPs or something kind of playing on the opposite side of that middle ridge, then straight away we could see that that's an isolated machine, go in and just remove it from the game. Would have been great if we could have gotten shots on the T100 and gotten him out of the game straight off the bat as well, but he's a much harder shot to hit on just straight off the bat. So
yeah,
pretty much just sets us up to completely dominate any tank that tries to kind of play that mirrored side. And if they want to bring all of their tanks up to the mid as well, then we can just force a brawl and hopefully we can win it from that.
Yep. And also one thing I wanted to sort of pick your brain about here too. So this T100 LT has spotted all your 4 tanks there. So the only one they don't know is your T100 LT that's scouting the 2 line pretty much there. Is that vision really important at that point? I mean, you spotted them all out, but like we'll see as we go through the slides, straight away those tanks are separated and gone somewhere else. So I mean, I know you know that they're on the western side of the train line, so that might be of value. But how much does that really tell your opponent?
Yeah, I mean, with us 4 all getting spotted here, I mean, this T100 kind of is a little bit of an unknown quantity for them. You know, we could be playing it either straight 2 line, straight 0 line. Of course, I don't think we actually had vision on all of the tanks at J7 yet. So
no, yeah, I think you only had the
it's
T100, yeah.
Yeah, so they're just a completely unknown quantity for us as well. So, we don't know if they're full committing straight down the 6 line, just kind of like on the 2 cap side of the railway. We don't know if they're setting up to push out the 2 line. We don't know if they're kind of, playing a whole bunch of stuff on each side of the map. So at least from there, it's just kind of waiting for ourselves to get delit, so we're no longer spotted by them, and then kind of rotate into positions where we can deal with any pushes that might come from that.
Yep. Well, as it stood after that bit, it sort of settled down. So the Action X realised that you were all on that western side, and they've set up their tanks probably in pretty standard positions to cover a 2 cap defence there, but. You guys quickly realised that. I think you had Twit was one of the tanks down here, and Iron Guard on his lonesome, and then you've just moved in force and managed to isolate Iron Guard and basically eliminate him in a very, very quick fashion.
Yeah, it's well, once we see that they're jumping on the 2 cap as well, it's kind of pretty obvious what they're trying to achieve. Of course, our T100 spotted pretty much nothing on that 1-2 line, so it only gives them so many options that they can do. With a lot of their tanks as well, considering they were playing a bunch of them fairly far south, it gives us the option to just, again, kind of group everything up on that I-7, push over, and get him out of the game. Even if our HP is fairly even after that, because we have that one extra tank, we can look at making flanking plays more. We have more guns in the game, so we just have more damage that we can dish out as well. So once we nuke that tank off the map, we can then kind of start playing to, get cap resets or go from there.
Yeah,
thankfully, the T100 jumped off, so it made it a bit easier for us in that regard, but I don't think he had many options from that point.
No, definitely not, because I think it was Twit made the decision. So the 3 tanks right up the north dumped onto Iron Guard, but as soon as Twit was over the ridge there, he was trying to put shots into the T100, and yeah, he backed off pretty quickly. He knew he wasn't going to survive very long there. So then moving on, I'm not sure, Twit did put himself in the water, but he was hidden. So the CS63 that was up on the hill here couldn't see him. And I just wanted to have a bit of a chat about that, because water's not something you want to stay in, because it's makes it hard to move. And yeah, just sort of locked him down a little bit there. But I guess remaining unspotted there put him in a really good position to move out and just surprise attack anybody that came past. What was there any sort of more thought processes around that, or was he just trying to hide to preserve his health, because he was pretty low on HP by that point?
Yeah, then after coming over the rails, it's once he kind of got into that B6 position and he was trying to pressure at the cap, he's pretty well committed. There's no real way that he can get back over the rails without bleeding, or probably at worst, and the most likely for us, just completely dying. So you got to kind of take the best of the 2 bad options.
Yeah.
And for us at that point, it was just get into water, be as much of a pain as you possibly can, and survive as long as you can, really. I think the funny part was there were actually a few bushes that kind of lined up perfectly for him. So him not being spotted by the CS nor the 60 TP meant that he could just farm it all day long, which was kind of a blessing for us at that point. It just worked. It just played into our hands perfectly. Completely unintentional, to be honest.
That's it. And eventually when he did get spotted out, Val has come off here, but the tanks up at A6 just had a clear line of sight onto him. So he might have taken down Twit, but he ended up dying himself, because he's gotten into the water, can't move, and all of a sudden there's 50 million shots coming in on him.
Yeah, it's especially once that 60 TP at C7 was killed. Yeah. It just made it a hell of a lot easier for us to kind of play off Twit and then isolate this 60 as well, because Eugene sitting at E5, not a terrible position, but at that point, he just can't really help anything from the 7 through 0 line once we've kind of jumped back over that side of the rails. Yeah, so
that's it. And that's what ended up happening after the 60 TP and the CS63 went down. Dongalord sort of chased the I'm not sure who was in your T100 LT, but chased him down here. We remained unspotted for a while and did actually end up surviving to the end of the match. But yeah, as soon as you knew where Eugene was, and you've just pushed down the 6 line here straight onto Eugene, and then it was all over.
Yeah, it's I think once they lost the 60 at C6, the game was pretty unrecoverable. I mean, there's always insane comebacks that happen from time to time, but that's a pretty difficult position for them to come back from.
And I mean, they're no god mode, so they're not going to run away and survive.
Oh, definitely not. Should have had god mode in that game for us, to be honest, and maybe he probably would have farmed up about 8,000 damage. But yeah, and at that point for Eugene as well, it's you're pretty much 1v4. Yeah. You have no time on the clock.
Yeah, I think it was about the 3 minute mark when they were sort of doing their thing, but losing Iron Guard early on hurt, and then Val and the 60 TP going down. It just they were in a very hard position, and Dongalord did his best, which is why he's featuring quite heavily in the fantasy team rankings. But Yeah, it just that was the point where you guys were just up, and I think that put you up 2-1 on this, and you went on to win the last match on Prokhorovka as well. Must say, like, Prokhorovka in the early days of the ANZPL, I wasn't a huge fan of because it just ended up being this really defensive map. But this season in particular, it's picked up and become a lot more attacking, really. And there seems to be a lot more action on there rather than just people in hold down positions.
Yeah, it's with most of the callers in this league. If you give them 8 minutes to break a camp, the vast majority of them are going to break it. It's especially if you have a T100 for some easy vision. Make it nice and concealed, give it a ton of view range. It'll run out and just run. It'll go out and run rings around everything, and you won't be able to see the bloody thing coming.
Yeah.
So at least with playing a little bit more aggressive, taking a little bit more vision and map control early as the defensive team. Of course, doing it in a smart way. It just allows you to have more options for where you can play defensively later on, and it also allows you to see if you can go for a pick on an enemy tank early on. Turn it into a 5v4 because you never want to have 4 tanks against 5 on the attacking team.
No, that's it. Yeah,
it's always a slog trying to come back from that.
Cool. Well, yeah, congratulations on that win over the Action X. My co-host for Nuts and Bolts, Natty, is from Adelaide, so we have this bit of a rivalry going. So you've given me some bragging points that I can go back to on Wednesday night when we do Nuts and Bolts. So that's good for me, but also good for you because it puts you up into third on the ladder. And we were talking a little bit before the show about how open it is, but there is a world conceivably where you can jump up into the top 2 because having a look at the games for the last 2 rounds, you play Brisbane Bulldogs and the Sentinels coming up. So Bulldogs, depending on which Bulldogs team shows up to play, because I mean they took the tiebreaker win against Scorpions last week, and the Sentinels, you've shown that you can beat them, and in games that mattered, especially in the semi-final last year to get you into the grand final. So, how are you feeling about those games coming up and your chances of not just holding on to your final spot, but maybe going a little bit higher?
Yeah, with Bulldogs, they always like to play it a little bit more interesting, which, to be honest, it does work for them from time to time. I mean, we saw against the Conquerors, they managed to bring up that win as well, which, given some of the form with those Conquerors players, I don't think a lot of us were expecting. But, yeah, like you said, depending on what team they bring, and especially for us, what strats they want to run, and I feel confident that we can get the leg up on them. But they're going to make us work for it, just like any other team in the league. Just because they're in the bottom spot, I wouldn't put them out of contention for getting a fair few more points by the end of the season. Against Sense, I mean, they've shown themselves week in, week out to be fairly consistent, and they are decent players. They're a decent team. We would struggle to get the 3 points. I think I would be happy to take away with the 2 because at least that would kind of put us on level peggings with the Scorpions, with the other game, of course, to consider. But it's just we're going to play it by ear. We'll give it our best shot and see how it goes.
That's it. And the Sentinels play the Scorpions this coming Friday as well. So that could, depending on the outcome of that game, that could give you a little bit of a boost as well. So it's definitely exciting times, but there's also the possibility that you might drop down. So Bulldogs, well, even Action X, if they get an outright win and you guys drop a game, that'll put them above you and back down the ladder a little bit. So yeah, it's what I love about the ANZPL is that there's even conceivably a world where Bulldogs make the finals, I think. That's a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely mathematically possible for them if the stars line up. But I mean, you saw it with us last season as well, coming back from, what was it, 7th to 4th in one game because we needed the 3 points, and irrespective of the 3 points, we just needed to outright win against Cax. Otherwise, we would have drawn with them and been put in the 5th.
That's it.
And the stars lined up for us on the day. we managed to get put up into the finals. And wouldn't say it's the most common occurrence in sports, but who knows? Maybe the Bulldogs can pull it out for them over these last two games.
It's
Hopefully
a hard,
not for me. But
yeah, no, it's definitely a hard road. But I just really like that this late in the season, there's still the chance for that last place team to just turn it around and have a chance to get up in the finals. I'm a bit of an underdog person. I do like the underdog stories.
Yeah, don't blame you. It's always good to watch them come back from behind and just try and give it the best shot and maybe even make it to finals.
That's it.
Yeah, as a Panthers player, hopefully not, because I would love to stay in the top four.
That's it. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not going that way myself. You know, being a Perth boy, I'm a big Panthers fan. I do. I've been on at JR. It's like, when we get merch, I want a Panthers shirt. Come on, it's gotta happen.
Well, hopefully. Otherwise, I might have to start printing my own stuff then.
Well, I was thinking that. I keep saying, well, if you're not going to make it, just send me a good image and I'll screen print it myself somehow. But Dastardly, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure and good luck for the last 2 rounds.
Thank you, mate. Absolute pleasure being on today.
Thank you again, Dastardly, for dropping in and having a chat with me. Very much appreciated, and getting very excited, getting to the pointy end of the ANZPL season right here. We are only 2 rounds away from playoffs, so it's crazy. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel that long ago that they started playing the games, and this has been a double round robin, so it's been going longer, but it still feels short somehow. Plenty to talk about though, so let's have a quick chat about some results with the ANZPL that have happened. Let me just fix this up a little bit first, make it a little bit prettier, and make it so because I'm here. I want to see me too. There we go. That's better. That's a bit better. So. Results from week 8, we have Brisbane Bulldogs took the tiebreaker win against the Scorpions, that's pretty big for the Bulldogs. They seem to have the ability to really come up and beat and play well against the Scorpions, because they took I think it was a 3-1 win against the Bulldogs in the first set of round robin games there. So that's pretty big. That's big for them. Then we had the Christchurch Conquerors come up against the North Sydney Sentinels there, which the Sentinels took away the tiebreaker win there, solidifying their spot at the top there. Conquerors, it's going to be interesting to see how they make it up. They'll need to get a couple of really good wins in the last couple of rounds, I think. At least come away with a couple of tiebreaker wins to keep their spot in the top 4, because Action X is knocking on the door, and like I said, there's still a mathematical chance that the Bulldogs will make it, but they do have to get past Perth, who beat Adelaide Action X 3-1, and that's where the Perth Panthers have jumped up the ladder a fair bit there. So let's have a look at where the standings are now. So you can see there, North Sydney Sentinels clear on top by a point against, and then the Scorpions sitting in second on 14 points. Panthers and Conquerors both on 12 points. And I do like to point out that the Panthers are the only team in the league to have 3 wins. And you would have heard that in the interview with Dastardly there. You would have also heard Dastardly say that they're the only team to have 3 losses as well. So there is that going on as well. So it's still pretty close there. And then Action X is only 2 points behind them on 10 points. And then the Bulldogs on 9 points. So like I say, it is a hard slog for them, because they are currently a full win out of there. So they would basically have to win their next 2 games to make it into the finals, and that's still going to be very hard, because other results will have to go their way. But Sentinels and Scorpions, you would say that they're primed to take out that 1 and 2 spot right now. So it'll be between. My guess would be between the Panthers, the Conquerors, and the Action X for who takes out the third and fourth spot to go through to the finals there. So that will be very, very interesting to see how that plays out the next couple of weeks. But of course, we've got to talk about fantasy. I hope you've all been keeping up with your fantasy. I forgot for a week, but I've noticed this season, instead of just having a blank roster and missing out, it actually puts in the last team that you played, which has been good for me, because, like I said, I forgot 1 week. So that was not very, very handy. You can see here, like, once again, because of the closeness of the games, the Sentinels and the coming out with a tiebreaker win, the Bulldogs taking the tiebreaker win over the Scorpions, so it's full of those teams there, with Rainbow bringing out the most points for the Sentinels, 369.3. Then Madhouse for the Bulldogs, Napalmer for the Scorpions. Good to see him getting up there in the points. AVP from the Bulldogs and JT from the Scorpions. Madhouse a pretty good buy there for 2 points. Like, Madhouse always seems to contribute, but the way he contributes might be something different. So he might play a certain role that doesn't get him a lot of points, but he's done well in this round. So definitely keen to see how he goes next week. Speaking of next week, here we go. Here they all are, the games for the penultimate round of Season 4. Conquerors taking on the Adelaide Action X this Friday from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time there over on twitch.tv/World of Tanks. Then we have the Scorpions versus the Sentinels in our second Sydney Derby here. Oh, that's going to be an exciting one. At 1 versus 2, who knows who's going to come out on top over there? And then, of course, the Brisbane Bulldogs versus the Perth Panthers. Hopefully Perth, as a Perth fan, hopefully Perth can continue their winning ways. But if they don't, hopefully Bulldogs win 2 weeks in a row and we get a good underdog story. That's the one I'm going for. We get a win either way. But definitely, hopefully, Panthers are going to take on the grab the game by the scruff of the neck and continue their winning ways. But of course, we got the better league to talk about, the B League. ANZBL had their last round on Monday night, so they are heading into playoffs. It's a new team, Bundaberg Badgers, took on the Wolverines, Wollongong Wolverines, and actually got the win, 3-1 against the Wolverines there. So that was going to be an interesting one for me, because Badgers have shown a lot of promise this season. They took a loss, I think it was against the Comets. I can't quite remember how they did against the Centurions, but they lost against the Comets. But to beat Wolverines, who up until this last week were undefeated, because it was the Comets and Wolverines that were undefeated, and the Comets won against them. So that's going to be interesting, because it has a pretty big impact on the makeup of the finals. Centurions managed to get the win against Comets as well. So that was also an interesting result that they were going to have there, because it looked like Comets might be able to go through undefeated, but instead take away the tiebreaker loss for the Comets. And then in the game against the two teams that hadn't won a game all season, the Hawthorn Hellcats and the Auckland Archers. Auckland Archers took away the win 3-1 against the Hellcats. They're good to see, and good to see them getting a win there in the last round. So now let's have a look at the ladder. You can see there, Cairns Comets on top. They've got the 12 points. Interestingly, Badgers had 4 wins as well, so they must have only dropped the one. Yeah, they only dropped the one game against the Comets that week. So, but Comets would have the head-to-head against the Badgers. So I think that's how the ladder works for the ANZBL. So good on them for Bundaberg Badgers for sneaking up into second spot for their debut season right there. So, and then Wollongong Wolverines in third, Canberra Centurions 8th on 8 points, and then Auckland Archers on 3 points, and Hellcats, unfortunately, with no wins this season, bringing up the rear right there. But it was a good showing from all. Like Hellcats in particular showed a lot of promise. They pulled out some pretty good strats. They're still a young, a newish sort of a team. So I think when they start gelling together, they're going to play some really good tanks, and that's going to be some exciting stuff to see. Now, on from that, the finals, the first week of playoffs. So we have the upper bracket final between the Cairns Comets and the Bundaberg Badgers. So this is 1 versus 2. It means whoever loses just gets a second chance. Whoever wins goes straight into the grand final. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm hoping Badgers can come up, actually, because that would be very exciting to see the Badgers, as the new kids on the block, come up and have a shot at the final right there. And then in the lower bracket, we've got the Wollongong Wolverines versus the Canberra Centurions. So the winner of that game will play the loser from the upper bracket for a chance in the final. So very exciting things happening here for World of Tanks, both in the ANZPL and the BL. Can't wait to see it. Tune in for Premier League on 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And for I have to double check. I'm pretty sure the playoffs are still happening Monday nights for the ANZBL. But definitely check their social media. That you'll be full bottle on when those are all happening, but it'll be all over on twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ. So that's where we're going to draw it for tonight. Thank you everybody for watching. Natty, I hope you get better soon. It's not the same without you, so please get better, because I can't talk on my own for this long. It's not cool. I'm going to lose my voice. Double shows back to back. It sounds like a good idea until you actually try and do it and then realize that you probably need to drink more water. But yes, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Dastardly, for the interview, and we will see you all later.
Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If you like what you're seeing, why not check out this video here? Or if you really like us, drop us a subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.